Well, for those of you who, like myself, just watched the Gran Turismo 7 State of Play live stream on the PlayStation channel, you're probably buzzing right now because we saw a huge amount of new Gran Turismo 7 content, some confirmations of things which we were talking about on the channel recently, some potential cars that were spotted. We have confirmations on those, some new cars that we didn't know were in the game, some returning faces, and a ton of features within the game as well. Now, I'm not going to break it down frame by frame because the video itself is around 40 minutes long, or I think it was like 33, 34 minutes long, and then it's going to be hours and hours of video if you break it down in that way. So I'm going to run it down in sped up time to give you all of the main stuff that you need to know as we get ever closer to the game's release on the 4th of next month. So let's run it down in the bullet points. First things first, we have a couple of confirmations. Recently I did a video, of course, about the trailer for this event, in which we saw a couple of new cars, the Silvia race car, which we now have confirmation thanks to a particular image in this trailer, or in this event, I should say, wherein they show a ton of cars on the screen. If you pause on that moment and look down every line of cars, which of course I did, and I know many of you will have as well, we do see some confirmations. One of those is of the Silvia S15 race car from that trailer, the white one, being a separate vehicle from the Silvia road car. So it is not, or appears not to be just a race modification, but is actually a separate car. Going back to the confirmations though, the Ford Focus RS is confirmed in this trailer, which of course we saw and talked about recently on the channel. Also, the car which I wasn't so sure about is confirmed. Some thought it was a 288 GTO, that was a good call. It is a Testarossa. So the Ferrari Testarossa is coming to the series for the first time, a legendary car from the brand of course. We have confirmation of the even more impressive new Suzuki Swift Sport. Which is going to be in the game as well as interestingly a race modification for that, an existing race car, which will be an interesting little rival, Group 4 maybe, something like that. We have the classic BMW 3-litre CSL, nicknamed of course the Batmobile in certain forms, and speaking of those forms, later in this video we see some much more in-depth looks at the tuning, especially the visual side, and one of those is showcasing some of the wide arch body kits, and that is one of the cars that you can do it to turn it from the road version into the iconic Batmobile, or the Shark as I like to call it. Now, we also have confirmation of a Mazda RX-8, which doesn't seem like a huge deal in Gran Turismo. They've always had a decent amount of RX-8s. That this one is the last of them. What appears to be the final, I believe, R3 RX-8 is showcased in the trailer with some modifications as well. I keep calling it a trailer, I guess technically it's more of a gameplay video, but you know what I mean. We also have, interestingly, Radical coming to the series for the first time. At the very bottom of that, loads of cars on screen image that I mentioned earlier, you can see the Radical right down there in the bottom. Initially I thought that one was a Caterham SP300R, but it is of course the Radical. They look fairly similar. We also have confirmation of a returning face, the Renault 5 Turbo, an iconic car, along with another icon, but in its rally form, the Peugeot 205 T16 in what appears to be its returning Evo 2 form with the even bigger wing and the winglets on the front end as well. We have the Alfa Romeo 8C, which of course was one of my 60 car predictions to come back. The Alfa 8C is coming back. I feel like I've got this vague memory that we saw that one recently in another trailer, but I could be wrong. Either way, it's great to see it return, especially to go up against stuff like the Alfa 8C, of course. We have a totally out of left field returning face, which I never saw coming back, but it's kind of cool actually. It's a great little throwback to Gran Turismo's past. The Auto Bianchi, the A112 Abarth. It's kind of like a souped up Fiat Panda from back in the day. That's such a cool little car to bring back, totally unexpected. I don't recall that being really a fan favourite car, but it's awesome to see that one come back. As I said, certainly not an expected car by me. We see the newest shaped Civic Type R. Of course, no surprise there, the Civic and pretty much any Type R from Honda always has a strong showing in the game, from the Integra to the NSX to the Civics, of course. We have a C6 generation Corvette ZR1 showcased. It would be unfortunate to not have that modern icon in the game. and that one is confirmed, so that's great. We have from that same 400 car screen image, around the centre, up by the number 4, you can just about make out a little red Ferrari right next to the F40, which I believe looks kind of like an F12, maybe an F12 TDF, or it could be an 812 Superfast, but something like that, one of Ferrari's front-engine GTs. So it's interesting to see that Gran Turismo is putting more of a focus on getting new Ferraris in there. That's interesting, because of course Ferrari was always like the biggest get that Gran Turismo wanted to have back in the day. Then we finally got them in Gran Turismo 5, and now they're adding even more. And then of course after Ferrari it was Porsche, and they've got Porsche in there and going very strong in that relationship as well. We also have on that same screen confirmation of another car which I predicted, the iconic Plymouth Superbird. The Superbird is coming back. We see that, as I mentioned, on that same screen. Right at the bottom of that very same screen, it was a great screen for new vehicles being confirmed. The Nissan Silati is coming back, that kind of fusion between 180 and Silvia, as the name suggests. Again, kind of a cult classic from the Gran Turismo history and from the Gran Turismo timeline. We have the aforementioned Silvia race car that I mentioned, the Suzuki Swift. We have confirmation that DMC is in the game, so of course the DeLorean. Again, another car from Gran Turismo's past. Then we have a couple of the more feature side of things. We have a music rally showcased in the trailer, wherein you're kind of running through checkpoints to the music, which is similar to checkpoint-based events that we've seen in the past, like on Sierra, for example, in GT6. So that's going to be interesting to see it back. Gran Turismo certainly have always loved, and Polyphony have loved putting in Gran Turismo, these little kind of coffee break style missions, which are a little bit more oddball. They almost have a little bit of a reminiscence to like certain Japanese game shows, so it's not too surprising that they would want to do that. We have the Ferrari F8 seen quite a few times in this trailer, which of course we spoke about a while back now in GT7 news coverage, where it was seen in a little Japanese Gran Turismo booklet, I think it was, so that one is confirmed as well. We have drag racing confirmed to be a proper event in the game. So for those of you who, like myself, loved in Gran Turismo 6 being in special stage Route X lobbies for top speed racing, drag racing, you don't need to just sit around and honk your horn a couple of times anymore. You can do it as a proper drag racing event. That's going to be a lot of fun for a huge amount of people. I would personally hope that there are probably going to be different lengths of drag, so like quarter mile, half mile, full mile. That would be pretty cool, but we'll have to wait and see. We also see showcased there some interesting visual modifications on the Nissan GT-R with kind of a Liberty Walk ducktail spoiler and the more body-kitted Lamborghini Huracan. We also see another Mustang in that beautiful showcase of graphics in the wet. What I initially thought could either be a 429 Boss Mustang or a 302 Boss. It is confirmed after Googling it that it is the 429 from 1969, because that's already featured in the Gran Turismo wiki. So that one is coming to the game. I personally believe one of the best looking Mustangs. We already have a pretty strong selection of Mustangs in GT Sport, so they are bolstering that even more. And interestingly, also on the modification side of things, speaking both to the body kits, which I talked about earlier, and that same Mustang, side exit pipe conversions. Now, the thing that I want to highlight, because of course part of the fun of covering this stuff is enjoying the hype, but we have to measure the hype as well. Don't get so hyped that you end up disappointing yourself. It's kind of like going into a movie. Sometimes you can blame the movie for not delivering what you wanted from the film, wherein the film never promised that. So it was your own expectation. So let's measure our expectations together, collectively if we can, in particular when it comes to the upgrades. I want to try to encourage us to think, okay, we have body kits, we have side exit pipes, we have ducktail spoilers, we have all of these cool things. The livery editor was showcased as being able to put decals on windows, which is awesome. Don't necessarily expect all of these cool things to be done on every car in the game. I'm not expecting at all for every car to be able to have a body kit, or to be able to have side exit pipes, or even to have spoiler upgrades. Maybe some cars don't have window decals, so I would not expect the tuning side in particular to be universal. So that is where I would recommend that we measure our collective expectations. What we have seen in this trailer, though, can of course be confirmed for those specific cars, which is still awesome. So overall, a fantastic event. It was very cool to see Kaz going into more detail about this. It'll be interesting to see now that we are in February, within a month of the release, really, whether or not we're going to see even more. Now, I don't expect necessarily another event of this size or a spotlight of this size on the PlayStation channel, but I could see us maybe seeing one or two smaller things, maybe some clip-outs, in fact, from this event, because they could easily take sections of this and turn it into little trailers and teasers, so I think that's probably what they'll do. Overall, though, that's it for my coverage. It was a fantastic video. Be sure to check it out yourself on the PlayStation channel. And of course, you can watch it at your own pace there as well. There's also some great music, and you can even hear the new rendition of Moon Over the Castle, the iconic, of course, Gran Turismo theme. So be sure to check out that video. You can watch it at a much slower pace, as I said. And if you think you noticed something or did notice something which I missed, be sure to slap it down in the comments. Tell us down below, of course, and have some great discussions amongst ourselves about the hype, things which we're looking forward to, confirmations which are cool. And of course, until the next coverage, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.